The other thing that I wanted to ask you about is famously, at Amazon, Jeff believes in failure. Mm-hmm. In shareholder letters, right? Amazon's the best place to fail. And so could you share what you've learned in your philosophy around failure for you and your team?
Yeah, I think the thing I push the most to people when they have failures or challenges is to communicate them, be transparent about them, ask for help early. You want to be able to go to your management team, to your stakeholders, and talk about what you're facing and tell them what you think you should do. Don't go in with saying, I don't know what to do. You need an idea, you need a solution, right? But it doesn't have to be perfectly baked.
Again, it's a balance, right? And I think we try to define what is an acceptable failure, which is, A, you learn something out of it, B, you stop before it gets a problem, right? So I think we try to create that bit of a framework and let people try, let people really give a bit of freedom. And again, it's not something that we have necessarily written down, in the playbook of a company. It's more, because again, it differs, of course, from a function to another.
The science that we're predominantly there to do, kind of failure is intrinsic in a structured way. So the whole point of science is you create a hypothesis, you test it against the data, you make predictions. That's, as you can probably tell, a well-rehearsed pattern for me. So why would technology be any different? So we seek to, if you like, point to the scientific method and say, look, this is very much what we're doing in technology. We have some hypotheses. We'll then run experiments that we tend to put into the agile and the DevOps kind of language. We'll see if they work, and then we'll be evidence-based to drive our future. So yeah, to some extent, I'm trying to set up the organization with a higher tolerance of making some mistakes in this domain.
My first job in product management, all I wanted to do was show everyone I could take this service that was perceived relatively well and take it to the next level, grow it, build a bit of my career as a product manager off it. And, within 2 or 3 months, I looked at it and realized it was actually hemorrhaging money. And I sort of struggled with what to do. I was like, I have to make this successful. Did not know how. With some support from some mentors, I realized the actual answer was to declare it a failure. But the key lesson was learning how to position and present that, how, not to cover it up, how not to try to run away from the role, but to take ownership of it and do it gracefully, to make sure the customers who are served by it were treated well and had an exit strategy for it. But it turned out well enough.
Actually, before being in technology, I was in M&A, and I was driving on some pretty complex transactions. And as you do in M&A, some of them failed, actually. And it has been always a pretty good opportunity for me to sort of reflect back. Why didn't it work? Did I have a role? Be a bit humble about, what I did well and I didn't do well. And I think it's that notion of, self-reflection and sort of feedback is super important.
We make mistakes. I've made lots of mistakes. What you try and do, of course, is recognize those mistakes and expect them to happen in such a way that you can be evidence-led, be data-led. This isn't going the way that we planned or forecast, and be able to stop things or go back and try again with a different method. And we're getting much, much better at that.